I'm Nico Manzanelli,
I'm Mason Kruger.
and this is the Shiny app we developed using R. The name of the Shiny app is DURT, and that's an acronym for the derogatory use of regular text. And essentially what this app does is it runs through a Twitter user's profile, and it pulls any offensive tweets they've ever tweeted, and it pulls them up, and you can just look at them and scan through them and see what they have been saying.
As you can see, it's really easy to do. Once you type in the username, you just have to wait probably around 30 seconds for our app to run through all the person's tweets to look for the derogatory uses. This is a very useful application, especially today because society is really touchy on the subject, and a lot of people lately have really gotten themselves caught up by things that they might have said in the past or said currently over social media.
Right, and you see it happen all the time to famous athletes, whoever it is. It just happened to the second round draft pick, Nick Bosa. He just got in trouble for some controversial tweets. And then even earlier in the year with Kyler Murray, it happened to him. So as you can tell, it really affects like professionalism. And our app works with anybody. So you could run it on one of those athletes' Twitters, and you could pull up all their tweets. Or you could run it on a random high schooler kid like I did. Or a random, he's in college now, but you get the idea.
This could even be useful for people who are trying to recruit or look into these athletes. Sometimes today, a lot of teams are really looking towards figuring out what type of person is, and seeing what they say through social media can really affect what a person thinks about the type of person you are.
Right, and so on our app we have the About page and then a research page where we included the link for an HTML that leads you to our research report. So essentially we did just that. We ran it on the top 50 high school recruits and the top 50 draft picks of this year to see what we could get out of those guys.
As you can see, just based off our head, it says the internet is forever, which we believe is true. Things that you say can really come back to haunt you, and this app has shown us that that's true.
So basically running through this, we defined the base DURT function. To get all this to work and to scrape Twitter, the first thing we had to do was we had to get a Twitter API. And basically what that means is we had to convince Twitter, the company, to let us use their tweet for data science. So we had to apply for a Twitter API and get authorization by using a token. That's basically what this first block of code here is.
And then our second block here is basically a data frame that we created of all the cuss words or derogatory terms that we could think of in different variations thereof that would help us scrape through Twitter and find these tweets that we thought would be derogatory or could be seen as inappropriate.
And finally, down here we get into the gritty work of our function itself. And so basically what this is this is the function that runs our little search engine for the get dirt or the dig dirt section of our app. And so basically what this does is it takes all their tweets and filters for these tweets with these words in it, and then displays it in a data frame, which is what you see in the app.
And then we have applying DURT, which the way that we saw it, being athletes, we saw that the prevalence in society is there's a big focus on people who gain their claim of fame pretty quick, which is really easy to do if you're a top athlete. As soon as you're drafted, it puts you in the spotlight, or if you're a top high school athlete that is looking to be drafted, it puts you on the spotlight for the public and also teams that are looking into picking you up.
Right, so we pulled the top 50 high school recruits and the top 50 draft picks of this year. And there's no easy way to get these Twitter handles. You just need to find their Twitter. And then we combined those into two lists, and we created data sets using that function. They were pretty big data sets using the function above. And then we saved those out as .csv files, and we had to read them back in, because if we didn't do that, the data files are so big and the function takes so long to load that it would just take forever to load this markdown file.
So basically what this section did is it took all of those Twitter usernames that we looked up, and it ran it through our function to find all of the tweets that contain the derogatory terms.
Right. So using all the data we got, we want to find out who has the dirtiest Twitter. So to do that, we we aggregated the data and counted who had the dirtiest Twitters. So we separated it in the top high school and top drafted here. And what you can see is that aside from this one guy in high school, most of these athletes, most drafted athletes have a lot dirtier Twitters. And we think this is because a lot of the 2019 draft class is way older than these upcoming college freshmen. So they've had their Twitters a lot longer, and they've been using them ways that they don't know it's going to have like such big repercussion. And to test to see how old these tweets are comparatively, we created this timeline. So as you can tell, about here is when we get the first high school tweet, and that's in 2014. But these these draftees have been tweeting since 2011. So that leaves a lot of time for these draftees to make big mistakes with their words.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because as you go back all the way even to 2012, I mean, that's a long time ago before the player might even realize that he was going to gain fame. So if he didn't go back and make sure he was monitoring what he posted, he would have posted things that were derogatory that we could look up now. And the reason why that's important is because society doesn't seem to care. They will dig up tweets for as far along back as they can, and that can still be used against you.
And I mentioned Kyler Murray earlier. He got in trouble it was probably his freshman year in high school. He tweeted something like, "That's gay," and stuff like that. And society kind of grilled him for it because today that's not appropriate to say. It makes a lot of sense. You should definitely, if you're going to be a professional, you should have a professional Twitter, and that's kind of what this app gets at. Additionally, getting some more data science stuff, we tried to see which dirty words were used the most. So we did that using a word cloud package in R.
Basically, this word cloud package analyzes the data, all of the tweets that we looked up for these players, and it pulls out which words were used the most. And as you can see from the plot here, the larger the word, the more it was utilized throughout these tweets.
Right, so shit is our number one used word. That's definitely displayed in this plot down here. You can see all the words on the side, or when you hover, it will show the word and the time it's been used. So
and that our top used word, that was over 500 uses. So you can see through looking through these tweets, you might think that they're top players, they wouldn't be using terms like this, but through our data, we found that they actually have, and they haven't really gone through their old tweets to make sure they clean up what they've used.
Right, and so the last thing I want to touch on is the accuracy of this data analysis. So sometimes the words in our derogatory word group could be taken out of context. For example, the word balls or the word blow has multiple meanings. So to see just how accurate we are, we randomly sampled 100 data points, 100 tweets, and only 8% of these were taken out of context. That means the other 92% were derogatory and unprofessional. So basically, if you're using a word in our list, then it's probably unprofessional, probably shouldn't be on your Twitter in the first place.
So this means that our app is pretty valid, because if you're to look up a person, the majority of the tweets that you pull back that contain these words are actually going to be unprofessional tweets.
Right. And so that really gets the gist of our app. We aren't necessarily trying to throw anyone on the bus, which is why in our Markdown document we don't have anybody's, for example, we don't have Nick Bosa's like very derogatory tweets or controversial tweets in there, but we do think that if anyone wants to see this and they can pull it up, well, they could just use the app to pull it up themselves. We're not trying to throw anyone under the bus. We also just think people should be more aware of what they tweet and what's on their Twitter. So really, that's a tool for that.
Yeah, really, we just want to make this a useful tool for anybody who wanted to go out there and find these things themselves. And even if you want to look on your own Twitter to make sure that you don't have anything that you want there, and you can go back and remove it.
All right, and that's DURT.
That concludes our presentation.